solution, just solution. There's got Hey, 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 my heart is filled with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. I said my heart is filled with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. My soul resounds with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. I said my soul resounds with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. My mind is aligned with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. I said my mind is aligned with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. My body's alive with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. I said my body's alive with your light, with infinite love, and gratitude. With infinite love, and gratitude. With infinite love, and gratitude. Woo! All right. Well, we're singing about love and community today, so we're going to do one more sing along with you, courtesy of Mr. Bob Marley. Tra-ka-ta-ta-ta-ta. Sing one now, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Singing about one love, one about the heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Saying, let's get together and feel alright. Let's get together and pray for peace. Love and our brother will bring unity. Let's thank our sister for the love she gives us. Let's work together and feel alright. Believe me. One love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Yes, it was in the beginning. One love. So it shall be in the end. One heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Singing, let's get together and feel alright. One more time, say, let's get together and feel alright. Good morning. morning and welcome to Columbine Spiritual Center. We're centered in God. We celebrate a world of harmony, peace, and abundance for all. We're so excited this morning to be bringing you one of Columbine's favorite groups, which is called Voce, or Voices of Columbine Ensemble. We've been distancing and rehearsing for the last month together, and today we've got a couple great videos for you. The first one is called Somebody's Praying, and it's featuring all four of these lovely people, Stacy, Cindy, Steve, and Pete.
Somebody's praying, I can feel it. Somebody's praying for me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me. Angels are watching, I can feel it. Angels are watching over me. Angels watching, with red miles ahead to I get home. Stand up, Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Angels are watching over me.
Will I walk the barren wilderness where my pillow was a stone, and I've been through the darkest caverns where no light has ever shone. Still I went on, 'cause there was someone who was down on their knees, and I thank the Lord for people praying all this time for me.
Somebody's praying, I can feel it. Somebody's praying for me. Mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe. Lord, I believe. Somebody's praying for me. Somebody's praying.
Oh, I can feel it.
Somebody's praying
For me, my Lord,
mighty hands are guiding me to protect me from what I can't see. Lord, I believe.
Lord, yes, I believe.
Somebody's praying.
Somebody's praying.
Somebody's praying just for me.
Somebody's praying for me.
Somebody's praying for me.
morning, everyone. It's good to be back with you today. Let's just take a moment together, shall we? Just make sure that Chris is getting, yep, I can see it, yep. So I invite you to take a nice deep breath with me as we move into some time of prayer this morning. What an incredible, appropriate message of Voce's song this morning. Someone is praying with me. And when we're a member of a community, that is so true. We are held in the presence of that community, in that holding field of presence. And so this morning we allow ourselves to connect, even though we are dispersed far and wide right now. We can connect. We connect by remembering and then bringing that memory into this moment. Feeling the texture, feeling the joy, feeling the support that comes when we can come together and both celebrate our accomplishments out in the world or have a shoulder to cry on when things were rough. And this is a spiritual community. And so we acknowledge the sense of love and the way that that love lifts us up, supports us. Love embraces us, holds us. Love has a way of dissolving boundaries, connecting us. And so while we may not have seen our friends at Columbine for months, we're connected in this moment. And love can be tough love. The love here invites us to grow. This community is about spiritual connection, about coming together in our authentic self, which often requires clearing away that which is not authentic. And so we're invited in our entirety to this community in this moment. And I invite you to take another deep breath just to allow the entirety of yourself to be here, all of it. It's all important, all necessary. And from this place of acceptance, embrace, and love, I invite you to bring to mind your own personal prayer list and to include with that Columbine's prayer list that we publish every Tuesday by email. We hold those people in this field of love, knowing that Spirit is working overtime to bring about right action, to bring whatever it is that's to unfold to its full expression. We can trust that. In this time of separation, it is so lovely to remember that we are one. We are connected as community. And for that, we give thanks. Thank you, God. And so it is. So it will always be. Amen.
And so we sing this song specifically out to those of you that were missing. This is a great song by Kirk Franklin. It's called Till We Meet Again. 2, 3.
Till we meet again.
Till we meet again. Those words mean a lot today, don't they? And it's really great to see Voce coming together and playing it safe and yet being in contact. It was lovely being at our 9 o'clock service this morning on the lawn. Hot, but so nice to connect. And I'm happy to be here with you this morning, connecting as we've been doing now for weeks in a new way, but still connecting. For the last 5 weeks, we've been exploring Unity's basic teachings, Unity's, it's funny, yeah, the 5 principles. It's so funny. Here I am a Unity minister. I'm like, what are those teachings? And today we're going to just shift our perspective a little bit. The 5 teachings give us you might say, a direction for all Unity communities. And today we're going to shift to our core values, of which there happen to also be 5. Core values are much more specific to the community. Every group of people that comes together has its own direction, its own focus, what's important to it, and that's created by the people that attend. And so years ago, probably 12 to 15 years ago, we sat down as a community and discerned what our core values are. What are the things that are important to us? And as we define those then, we proudly have them displayed right outside our sanctuary so that all those that come to visit us have an opportunity to see right off the bat what we're about, which is a good indication of whether this community has the potential of being a fit for us or not. And yet we also know, right, that we can walk by those core values and after a while not see them, see the color of them and see how pretty they are, but forget what those core values are. So it's important and good that we're reviewing them today. Also, there's a certain responsibility that comes with those core values, or actually anything that we put out there as representing who we are. Then we have to walk the talk. And so, again, it's great that we're bringing these back up and looking at them again today so that we can be reminded what it means to really be a member of this wonderful community that we call Columbine. The first, well, let's go through the core values. Just in case you've forgotten, let's go through them. So we have community, spirit-led, inspiration, authenticity, and inclusiveness. And today we're going to kick off with community. It's just not happenstance that community is the first core value. Our core values are definitely set off of community. Our founders had all, in one way or another, participated in spiritual communities where they were based around the personality of a leader. And in fact, in those cases, often the leader called the shots. And while those can be inspiring communities, while we can learn a lot, there's a whole segment of spiritual growth that's left out, which is the participation and embodiment of the individual. It's almost as if in those situations there's a sun and each individual is a planet surrounding on their own. And there's so much that we can do on our own on a spiritual journey. But when we come together in community, there is so much more offered. You see, in community, we are getting to help set direction, and therefore we get to understand and become aware that our creative expression is important, what we bring, our gifts, our capacities. We have the opportunity to get involved and actually develop gifts and capacities in new ways. We get to discover ourselves in new ways. Community offers us terrific holding, and so we can go out into the world and experiment with these new qualities, these new ways of being that we're discovering, and then we can come back and we can celebrate or have a shoulder to cry on if it didn't go as well as we had hoped. There's tremendous support. Oh, and another thing that just occurs to me is, and we're mirrored. We have an opportunity to be acknowledged for what it is that we bring to life, something that we are all hungry for. And so, if we look at the definition, our first, the way we define community, we said we recognize and magnify the power of coming together in love. We recognize and magnify the power of coming together in love. Yes, I was wondering, what's that first part? But yes, that's why we pick community. And how powerful that we defined it that way. Because you see, love, we're not just talking about romantic love or the love, that we can feel for an individual. We're talking about our divine nature as love. And that divine nature is not only a quality within us that tends to dissolve boundaries and allow us to come forward more vulnerably, but also it's creative and it holds us. It provides us a sense of this holding so that we feel empowered to come forward and do what is ours to do. It magnifies that which we might experience individually, but really helps bring it and rise it out of us so that we can experience the potential that we are. And then we use as the rationale for this core value of community, relationship is a path to God. Now, if I was writing that today, we wrote these, as I said, years ago. If I was writing that today, I would strongly encourage the team that came together to do that we should say relationship is a path to our Christ nature or to our true nature. Because you see, what's happening in relationship is that relationship always bumps us up against other people and gives us an opportunity to see how we limit ourselves through our ego's need to differentiate, to separate. And as we're willing to work those, if we're really willing to work those in true community, what happens is we pave the way. We create space, if you will, for more of our true nature to come forward. And that's where we really experience the fullness of who we are. It can be quite amazing as the strength and the power rise, as the will rises, as the love and the compassion and the empathy rise, as our inherent value rises and displaces all of our sense, of not being complete, of our insecurities and our deficiency. And so it truly is amazing what can happen. But it doesn't just happen. We have to work at community to make community happen, especially when we're talking about true spiritual community. We can show up for any number of different communities that we belong to as an ego. There's endless opportunities to just put on our shiny little ego self and be the nicey nice or whatever it is that we identify out in the world. But when we come together in true community, we're inviting your big self, your self with a capital S, to come forward, your true self. We're inviting you to simply be. You don't need to put on any false pretense for us. We're going to love you the way you are. And in that, we begin to trust our true nature as it's mirrored back to us. And, community knocks any rough edges off. We find that we get better and better at not only just being ourselves, but interacting with our fellow human beings. It's truly a lovely experience. To keep true community going, we have to do our work. That means that we need to confront our desire to run. We need to confront our reactivity. We need to confront our tendency to collapse. However it is we tend to respond when our needs are not getting met the way we'd like them to. I was laughing that every year I have people who either email me, call me, come to my office to refute the fact that we are a loving, accepting community. They say, I don't feel loved here. No one comes and talks to me. And isn't it interesting that all of us, we would just love to have every community that we join be perfectly attuned to us and to cherish us, right? But that's just not the way it works. And so in true community, we not only have to do our work, but we have to show up. We have to show up in a vulnerable way. Otherwise, it becomes stale. And there's no real enthusiasm to continue. It's only when we know that we're going to be seen and valued in a real way that we're going to want to keep showing up despite the fact that sometimes it's challenging work. Sometimes we're being asked to confront deep-seated beliefs in us that we have taken to be who and what we are. It can be scary. And yet, with that support of community, we move forward and we grow. Sometimes what we're asked to confront is very subtle. In fact, I find that most of the things that I work with now are subtle little ways that my ego gets in there. I was reading a blog by a gentleman named Elliot Robertson. Elliot wrote the book, Say Yes to Life. But he also, as I dug a little deeper, he also was a staff writer for Daily Words. So he worked for Unity World Headquarters. And he's in this blog retelling a experience of his where he is waiting for a trolley. I don't know how many cities in the United States still have trolleys. It kind of made me think maybe he's, in the San Francisco Bay Area. But he's waiting for a trolley, and two well-dressed young women start crossing the street and heading right for him at the other side of the tracks. And as they cross the tracks, one of them says to him, "Do you know Jesus?" I think probably all of us have been asked that question, right? It can maybe hearken some trauma for you or something. But for Elliot, he was simply able to say, "Yes, I do." And then the next question that came from the woman was, "Do you have a relationship with Jesus?" And he said, "Yes." And then the woman asked, "Will you go to heaven?" And he, put a smile on his face and said, "Well, I plan on going to heaven today if I'm lucky," which, could bring up all sorts of reactivity in these women. But he's really speaking, right, to what we teach, that the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, is right here on earth as we are able to metabolize and transcend our ego structure to really begin to let it soften so that our nature can be the experience that we're living from. And what a wonderful experience that is. And the trolley pulled up before anything else could be said. Elliot put his hand out so that the woman could give him a tract, one of the pamphlets, whatever she was handing out, before she could even ask, and he got on the trolley. But as he got on the trolley, he had a pretty amazing realization. After I found a seat, I thought back to the brief encounter. Somewhere within, I had been thinking, my understanding of Jesus is right, and yours is wrong. From the moment I heard the young woman ask if I knew Jesus, I had been quite sure of this. My understanding of Jesus is right. Yours is wrong. Now, this is an issue of superiority. Somehow, for some reason, our ego needs to always be differentiating us from the other. And in this case, that differentiation pointed to some self-esteem issue that I need to, even though it's just an interior experience, be setting myself up to be the one that knows. And we can do this in many different ways, right? It could be, let's see, this morning I had all sorts of examples. Will I have any examples now? This is always how Spirit kind of plays with me. but in any way that we need to differentiate ourselves. Maybe we are the one that knows. Maybe we are the one that sees it more clearly. Maybe we're the one that can articulate it better. Whatever it is, we have to differentiate ourselves. Do you think Spirit needs to do that? Nah, no. Spirit just is value. Spirit is just knowing. Spirit doesn't feel any need to exert itself over another human being in a domineering sort of way. And so you may say, well, okay, so what? So what if you have these feelings of superiority in the depths of your consciousness over someone else? Well, Eliot goes on to beautifully explain why that's a big deal. My refusal to see the young lady who asked me a few questions as my equal, as my true sister, was like a solid wall that kept me from allowing her fully into my life, into my heart. We must choose between superiority and embracing. The two cannot coexist, just as a light switch cannot be turned on and off at the same moment. So we have to choose between superiority and embracing. And, I can pretty much assure you, all your egos are going, okay, fine, I'll choose embracing. But it doesn't work that way. The minute that we get triggered, we're not embracing. And so that's why this whole series that we did in our spring program around the RAIN process is so powerful. Eliot, when he got onto that trolley, had recognition of what was going on for him. That's a powerful step, right? He realized that he had been putting himself in a one-up, in a superior position. And from there, then we can allow, we can investigate, and we can nurture. I don't know if Eliot went on to do those things, but that's our possibility. I participate in a RAIN group every month, have for, 22 years, I guess now. And I had one this week. And I went in, and in our group, we each get to work with a teacher. So there's one teacher, and we just go around the circle, and if we want to, we can work. And I wanted to work on an anxiety that I've been feeling. I've been relaying to you over the last few weeks that I don't feel any need to hold any image for my life, that the universe just keeps throwing these opportunities for me to step out in new ways, to do new things, to be a leader in new ways. And there's this anxious energy in me. I like to think of it as another being, in me, part of my beingness, that is afraid that I'm not being what would you say, guarded enough? I'm not researching things enough. What if you get too extended? What if it ends up costing you too much? I mean, it's all this concern and fear. And as I was investigating it with the teacher that was working with us this week, he said, it sounds like you really want this part of you to go away. You want to get rid of this part of you. I thought, yeah. That feels true. This part of me seems like it holds me back. He goes, it was important though. Can you acknowledge that it was important in your childhood, that this part really helped you get through your childhood? And I said, yeah, but it doesn't feel helpful today. And he said, really? Are you saying that in maneuvering the world, it isn't good to, be desirous of diving in and looking at both sides of a situation and really looking to see if something's going to work out? I said, well, as you put it that way, no, I can see that that's important. Yeah. And he said, you see, anytime we're going to reject any part of the totality of who we are, then there's going to be anxiety. What happens if you just nurture that part? If you just offer nurturing to that part, saying, hey, I'm sorry. I really do need you, and I appreciate you. And for the first time in probably 3 weeks, my belly relaxed, like really relaxed. And I'm always immersed, in whatever the talk is. So I'm thinking, wow, if that's the reality in my one location, what happens in community? And I realized, it is so easy to sort of wish that if one or two people would just leave a certain group that I'm in, it would just be perfect. It would be perfect. But what we don't get from the ego perspective, which, always wants us to feel comfortable and safe, is that every expression of spirit, every person walking the planet is a cog in the wheel of humanity. And whether we're talking about a community like Columbine of about 325 adults, or whether we're talking about the world, that we all have a role to play. And even though it may seem like it's slowing us down or things are not going very well, it's causing us to pause and to reflect. And that through everyone's interaction and the inclusion of everyone through love, that we have a greater opportunity to anticipate what's coming our way, to be prepared, to bring into expression greater light, something that has greater potential for being a benefit. To the ego, it's frustrating. But to spirit, it's the dance. It's the way life goes. Julia Hoylin sent me not a blog, a video. What do you call those things?
Blog.
Is it?
Video blog.
A video blog? Thank you, Janice. She had another name for it, but anyway, she sent me one where Brene Brown was interviewing someone, but Brene shared, I thought, a really great comment. Brene was talking about the fact that her community is huge, that she is on a worldwide community, and she says, it seems like everything I do is being recorded or videotaped. I can't get by without making a mistake that thousands, if not millions of people see. And she says it's incredibly humbling, and that part of me that wants to be safe, that wants to play it safe, is always wanting to tighten up and pull back and say, let's quit this. Let's not do this anymore. But she uses a simple little mantra that says, I'm not here to be right. I'm not here to be right. Now, she goes on to explain that we are here to get it right, but not to be right. And you see, if we see that we can't be expected to get it right from the beginning. We are souls that are developing. We are human beings that are learning what it means to be a soul. And so all we can do is show up best we can and recognize that it might get better. And from the place of, I'm not here to do it right, but I'm here to get it right, then we can be open to the other. We can listen. We can be vulnerable. We can step out in our own fear and try new things. We transcend that fear. It's an amazing place to enter community from. It allows us to step into a new community and to be vulnerable, both to step up to people and say hi, but also to share of ourselves in a way that may not be acceptable to that community, but we're going to learn, right? And in that, again, we come to trust who and what we really are. I didn't really understand the power of community when I joined this Columbine community. But I have come to realize that it has, through relationship, been the single greatest source of my personal growth. I'll give you just a quick little example. I received an email this week that was supposedly from Oxford, written by one of the deans at Oxford, that came from one of the colleges of Oxford. And it was a horrifically damning piece targeted towards people of color. And of course, immediately I was suspicious, and it took me only, I think, 2 minutes of searching on the internet to find all sorts of posts from Oxford saying, hey, this thing is out there, it did not come from us. It's fraudulently represented that it came from us. Before I really came to live what this community offers, I would have simply deleted that email and said, oh, what a shame that they're sending that out. I would have fallen into, needing to try and keep the peace, not having anybody be frustrated or angry with me. But I felt no choice but to respond to the email, to respond it from love. I had just had a wonderful interaction with Dave Brown where we were talking about the importance of not using languaging that puts people on the defensive if we want them to grow, if they want them to feel a part of something. And I was able to say, the languaging of this text I find offensive. And my personal belief is that by sharing texts like this, we're not helping the situation of bringing us together as a country. We are further separating us. And it was the most freeing experience to send that email. Brought up that tension in me of, oh my goodness, this is from a person that I love. Am I suddenly going to be rejected? Am I out of the team? But at a greater level, it was so satisfying to express the truth and to know that I was expressing it from love. Not the kind of love that pulls you in close, but that tough love that says, can't agree with this. I think that our definition of community really sums it up. We recognize and magnify the power of coming together in love. We recognize and magnify the power of coming together in love. And so let's spend some time now reflecting on that. And as we move into this time of meditation, I'd like to invite you to consciously bring the totality of who you are into this space and time. To reflect back on the part of you that maybe feels afraid of the opportunities that are offered you, or of the ideas and the guidance that are flowing through your consciousness. Or maybe to include any part of you that feels fragile, that feels highly impacted by what others say or do, or the way you're met or not met. Just to bring it all in. Any part of you that you wish was not there, or you may tend to put down. Bring it into this beautiful field of love and of light. And take another deep breath to give it plenty of space for all of who you are, to allow the love to imbue and impact, to dissolve any boundaries, to allow you to simply be, all of you. In this embrace now, we will sit in the silence together. So appreciate that you guys are here today. This is really lovely being on stage with you. This is the time in our service where we take our offering. And I want to just begin by thanking you all for your support. It's really important in this time when we're not together that we still continue to receive support, and you've been really generous with that. So thank you so much. Our offertory blessing is intended to open us to the flow of Spirit. So let's say it together. God's love has always met and will always meet all my needs. I give freely, I receive abundantly, and I am grateful. And so it is. A few pieces of community news that I'd like to walk you through. If you're watching this video and you haven't yet gone to our website to sign up to receive our information from our weekly prayer list, to also our weekly, I guess you would call it, update or newsletter, all you have to do is go to the website and hit on the link to join our mailing list, and we will get you tuned in. So please take a moment to do that now. Likewise, if you are not already on some kind of automatic giving for us or mailing in checks, you can donate through our website. That is the preferred place to go. Just hit donate now, and it will guide you through the process of continuing to help us support this ministry. At 9 o'clock in the morning, on Sunday mornings, if the weather permits, we've been doing an outside service. We have to admit that today it was hot, but also great fun to connect. You can see through the picture that we're social distancing. And we're planning on doing that again this week. The link that you use to sign up is the same link week to week, so you can sign up anytime during the week if you have that link. Otherwise, we'll be sending it out in the update on Thursday. We're trying to assess, how the service is going, so we're going to be either reaching out or sending out some kind of a survey to get just some feedback from you as to, is it working, or are there things that we need to change? One of the outreaches that we've been continuing to do through the coronavirus, this pandemic, has been Colorado Feeding Kids. And we have another, and in this, we put together meals for kids, essential meals for kids and their families in need. And we do social distancing, and it's a lot of fun. And the next opportunity to participate is coming up this Saturday, the 18th, from 9 to 11. We need you to register, and you can do that again on the website or through Breeze. But we would love to have you be a part of that. We can blow through a lot of meals in 2 hours, right?
2 hours.
Isn't it almost like 1,100 meals sometimes? We really do it. So please be a part of that. And then remember that today at 12:15, we will all be participating in Fellowship. We want to have you there and get to interact with you. Rachel is our host today, and so we'll look forward to seeing you at 12:15. All right. I think that's it. Let's close, shall we, with...
Stand up and sing.
All right, let's do.
Or keep on sitting. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with thee. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Let The
Light of God surrounds us.
The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great week, everyone.
You got to give a little love, have a little hope, make this world a little better. Oh. Living in this crazy world, so caught up in the confusion, nothing is making sense. For me and you, I know we can find a way. There's got to be a solution, yeah. How to make a brighter day. What do? We got to give a little love, have a little hope, make this world a little better. Try a little more, harder than before. Let's do what we can do together. Oh. Yeah. Oh, la la la. Only if we try. Let's do another chorus. Give a little love, have a little hope, make this world a little better. Try a little more, harder than before. Let's do what we can do together. Oh, we can really make it better, yeah. We can really make it better, yeah. Oh, la la la. Only if we try. One more time, say, oh, we can really make it better, yeah. Oh, la la la. Only if we try. Bye. Have a beautiful week. We love you.